Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soul Speak with
Hey.
Rachel and Grace.
Yes, and
With
me, Grace and
Grace
Rachel,
and
Rachel and
Rachel.
Grace,
Exactly.
for
So
sure.
today, what are we calling this segment, Grace?
It's in the news.
In the
In the
news.
news, yeah.
Uh-huh. So do you want to start us off with all of what we're going to be talking about?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. I think there's like a few topics that we want to touch upon.
Uh-huh.
Um, we want to talk about obviously the Asian hate, but I think we should save that to last, maybe,
Oh, just
perhaps.
let's just run it down and
Yeah.
then we'll hit it
And
how it
then
strikes us.
yeah, the Derrick Jaxn, or I like to call him Derrick Janks because I don't know why he spells his name like that, which is ridiculous to me.
Does kind of look like
And
Jake's. Uh-huh.
and difficult conversations, and that could be with anybody.
Yeah.
So those are the three topics that we want to talk or touch upon. I have a lot that I want to get off my chest,
All right.
but they vary depending on the situation. But I need to gather my thoughts together, so I'm gonna let Rachel begin
Fine. Let
because
me
I
drink
don't
my
want to
water.
just rant. Because I feel like if I start, I'm gonna start ranting and go all over the place.
Okay, I think I'm gonna rant, but that's okay. All right. So I think talking about the Derrick Jaxn situation would make the most sense because that's not gonna be as thorough. So
Hilarious.
Derrick Jaxn, I mean, everybody, at least everybody in the Black community, I would say,
No, he's made the news.
he's
He's
made
made
the
E News. He's
news.
made E Canada. He's made,
Uh,
no, seriously,
that's right.
he's
I
made the
saw
news,
that. Yeah. So,
which is
as
well to
we
me.
know, Derrick Jaxn, who is a relationship guru, has been exposed for having multiple affairs while he was married. And as the last thing I heard is that with one of his mistresses, he had a child, but she had an abortion. Like
Yeah, yeah,
she got pregnant and he had an
yeah,
abortion.
yeah.
So a lot of people are all types of, well, some people are shocked. Some people, mostly women, are butthurt. Um,
He's
I,
following, by the way, not all women.
oh, did I say all women? I don't
No, no,
even know
no,
what I
just
just
women. You
said.
just said
Oh,
women.
okay,
No, I'm
okay.
saying his particular, the women who are butthurt are specifically his following, his
Yes.
cult following.
Yes. Other guys, what I've been seeing is a lot of I told you so's.
Yeah.
And for me, let's just say I wasn't highly affected. So Derrick Jaxn, for me, I had seen him online for many, many years. And like he struck me, there was always something that struck me as
Did it?
off, yes.
Really?
So I used to go on YouTube because I got divorced about 2 years ago. I separated 4 years ago from my ex-husband, and yeah, knowing how guys think and how they approach situations has become something that's important to me, had become important to me. So I would look online. There are several people I used to look at or follow. One of them was Derrick Jaxn, but it was Derrick Jaxn light. I would say that. I forget who the other people are, but there's this guy named Kevin who I think gives good advice. There's this other guy who calls himself the toxic relationship guru now. For him, I felt he was like a little too strong, like it was just too extreme. I say all of that to say there are several people that I used to every now and then listen to understand from a sister's point of view what a guy is thinking. How is he processing things about a woman, and how to inform myself and protect myself. So Derrick Jaxn was one of them. I don't know what it was, but something about him struck me as off. So he became not a person that I listened to. And I think it was because he would throw God every now and again in the mix. And it would be weird in his relationship advice because overall, God wasn't a part of the tactics, but he would throw it in and it would just seem incongruent. There was overall something that was not aligned with what
Mhm.
he was saying for me. So
Wow.
I was like, it struck me as off. But in
Okay.
this past year with not dating for me, and has been obviously a personal decision, what I've come to understand is the more that I understand myself and the more that I'm honest with myself and the more that I'm willing to look at situations as they are and not as I want them to be, the healthier that makes me for dating. So I don't need all of this advice, although I've learned a lot. So I may be feeling like this because I've learned a lot. And that in addition to having more knowledge of myself, of things I will take and what I won't take, for me, I feel like it's less important to have this type of advice, but there was always something off to me about Derrick
That is
Jaxn.
wild.
So
That
yeah.
is wild. I didn't follow Derrick. Gosh, the way he spells his name just angers me.
Yeah.
Derrick Jackson. So annoying.
And he would always bring his book after the end. That got on my nerves too. I'm like, to get your book for 50% off. Get your book. It's like,
This is the
okay,
thing.
dude. Anyway.
I didn't follow Derrick Jackson, but I had
Hmm.
seen his videos
Okay.
again, just floating around the internet. I think I watched one, switched it off straight away. I'm not a fan of gurus. I don't care what kind of gurus you are. Makeup guru, relationship guru, interior design guru, whatever guru you are, I'm not interested. I've never person, never been into self-help books. Not to say it's a problem that people who read it, but that's never been my thing. I've never been into any of those, I've got the keys. I've got the keys. I've got the answers to all of your problems. That's never been for me, but I have seen his videos. What I found strange from then until now, a lot of the times I come across as quite harsh. For me, it's if you are giving me relationship advice, I need to make sure that you are in a healthy relationship yourself, right?
Do
It's
that.
like you going to the dentist and your dentist having the most ridiculous, disgusting teeth and saying, I'm going to operate on you and I'm going to give you a white smile. I'm going to run away.
Although I have had chunky trainers that were good trainers.
That's hilarious to
so
me.
yeah.
That's me personally talking about myself.
Hmm.
Um, and whether it be Derrick Jaxn, whether it be Matthew Hussey, whether it be all of these different people, what I found
Matthew Hussey is a
that
good
was
one. Hmm.
striking is these are the people who also struggle in relationships but don't talk about it in their motivational speeches or their
Yeah.
guru
Yeah.
I don't know, videos or whatever.
Hmm.
That's what stuck out to me, to the point where it's like, no, 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 I'm not interested. I've never been interested. So with Derrick Jaxn, what really was fascinating is, and I think people are talking about it now, is no one knew he was married. For a long period of time, he presented himself as someone who was single. For
Or
a
he
long
didn't
time,
say no, he didn't mention it, so he made it look like he was
but that's what I'm
single.
saying. It was this facade. It was this
Yeah.
image where he didn't say
Yeah.
anything, but at the same
Yeah.
time, the
He
assumption
let
was
you
already there.
assume.
Yeah,
Yes.
he let you assume and he knew what he was
That's
doing.
what
He
he
was posting
wanted you
pictures of
to
himself
assume.
half naked or whatever.
Right.
Like, no, nobody who was married
Yeah, those
doing that,
things
all of
bothered me.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
That was insane.
yeah.
So for you to create this brand, this idea, this would you call it, ideal, where you're selling relationship advice to women, and basically saying, I have the answers, and whatever it is that a man's not going to tell you, I'm here to tell you guys the truth, because again, I'm not like them, right? I'm the good guy. Essentially, that's what he's saying. I'm the good
Yeah.
guy, or I used to be like them. I'm not like them anymore. If he's doing this is what it means, or whatever. All of those tactics, whatever, and women are lapping it up,
Yeah.
writing it down. And for us to not know you're married, for us to not know, you don't have to have a perfect marriage. That's not what I'm asking for. But for you to say, hey, I'm telling you the truth because I work on my marriage daily, that could have cost you nothing. Essentially, it would have bettered
Yeah.
your whole brand or business, whatever it is,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Showing yourself in a truthful light. and saying, me and my wife have struggles, this is what we've worked on, this is who my wife is, you guys know, I've been honest with you, I've been transparent, whatever it is, that would have been much more beneficial. But
Right.
to have this whole image
Yeah.
and facade created on lies and falsehoods, and you yourself, and obviously the hypocrisy, I think that's what's the killer for me, right? I believe hypocrisy is witchcraft. Call it something differently, whatever. That's the one thing I
Okay.
cannot tolerate. Like, I'm so angry about this situation, not because I'm a Derrick Jaxn follower, but because
Wow.
I hate hypocrisy to a different level, and image gang.
Uh-huh.
This is pure example of image
Okay.
gang, right? So he's
Uh-huh.
created this
Uh-huh.
whole narrative or whatever. I'm this guy. Um, that you don't want you want, basically you want your man to be me. Essentially, you want your man to be modeled after me.
Mm,
That's what he was selling. Well, because
mm.
when I really look back to it, he
Damn.
wasn't selling relationship advice. He was selling himself. He's the brand. He's the brand.
That's cringeworthy,
It's
son.
awful.
That makes you.
Because it made sense, Rachel. The photographs on Instagram where he's practically nude, showing himself up.
I really
I
hated those.
hate
I think
those.
the all of those things didn't add up. Like
Right?
I had no words, but I was
What's
like,
this for?
I felt turned
For
off when I
sure.
saw
You're telling me
those.
about your book,
Yeah.
but you're half
Because you're
naked?
right, he was selling himself. How are you giving relationship advice, but you're also flaunting yourself? So you're wanting us to want
Thank
you.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
So
it.
every woman is, yeah, you're
He's
right.
selling
You're
himself.
right.
He is the brand. And so everybody
Yeah.
thinks it's the relationship advice, it's the books, it's all of that stuff. No, it's him.
Yeah.
And this is another thing, if
Yeah.
you look back at the videos,
That might have been the turn off for me.
maybe,
Yeah.
but you see that
He
the
turns
focus
me
is on
off.
him. The focus is on him
Yeah.
about everything. He will bring it back to him, which is why this situation
Yeah.
is so, like you said, it's very cringeworthy. And I said to you already, I messaged Rachel saying I'm suffering from secondhand embarrassment from this situation,
Yeah.
because everywhere I turn, it's like I see a video and I'm like, ugh, this is ghastly, this is horrible. Like, and
Yeah.
he's not making the
Yeah.
situation better, right? So
Oh,
this is what I really want to
Jesus.
get into, the meat of this situation that's really angering me is, first and foremost, the video of him and his wife addressing his cheating scandals,
Yeah.
where,
That was not a good look.
yo,
Actually, okay. So, yeah, go ahead, talk about that because there's something else I want to jump into. But yeah, go ahead.
I hate the fact that this is what I hate about the outcome of this video. How he's the one who's in the wrong, but the attention, the negative attention has turned to his wife, right? Because when I remember the video,
Not all of it.
he's getting clowned, but his wife is being disrespected by random strangers. They're mocking her
Yeah.
looks, they're mocking the fact that she stayed in a relationship. She's already going through a terrible time. And I'm not in the business
Yeah.
of talking trash about other women or, all of these different
Yeah.
things. But for the internet to just, he's basically giving her like a, what do you call it? Like a lamb to the slaughter. He's offered her up like, hey,
Yeah.
take her. I'm going to be on the side. Yeah, I know I'm a clown, but I'm going to come back later on. But hey, make fun of her or whatever. Because like everybody said, why would you allow her to come online like that? Like squeezing her hand like a maniac, like she's wearing her
I don't
bonnet.
think he
Like,
put her up at, I think
did you think she
I
wanted to do that
think
video?
he left her out there because he was wanting her to protect him. So yes, in essence, he did leave her out to
To
be
dry.
slaughtered because it wasn't about her,
Her,
it was about
exactly.
him. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what I hate about it. And then on top of
Yeah.
that, making a reaction video. So it's an inception video of him watching the confession video and commenting on it in third person, and then bigging himself up and giving himself props, saying, I think he did
Yeah.
a great job and I think he was great there. And I was
Jesus.
like, what in the name of Leonardo DiCaprio is going on? It was wild to me.
I think that honestly that was a desperate act of, I think he's so used to being able to understand how the market works that he felt that that was a brilliant move to save himself, um, and didn't realize just how that is narcissistic as hell. but
Rachel,
I also
did
see
you,
it as an
sorry,
unraveling of him. Yeah,
but
go ahead.
did you see the content of what he was saying? It wasn't just about him reacting to that video. He was gaslighting his following. This just
I
proves
couldn't
that
finish watching it. I couldn't finish
he was
watching it.
like, this just proves that you shouldn't be putting people on pedestals. That's what you guys did. You're the ones who put people.
He said
I
that?
literally
He said
lost.
that's
I
what you guys
lost.
did?
Go and watch it. I'm
No, I
literally no
refuse to
lie.
watch that shit.
I
He
put my
said that's
hands
what
on
you
my
guys
head.
did?
I literally was like this, going, like shameless. That's the only word that came out of my mouth. Shameless.
To me, oh wow. So he's being the toxic guy in the relationship to
He is the toxic
every
guy.
person. But he's acting
He's
it out right here.
lighting everybody out on fire. He's basically saying,
Wow.
you guys, you shouldn't be putting people on pedestals.
That's like saying you shouldn't
Nobody's
be so
perfect.
insecure. You shouldn't be like, that's how it got. Wow.
He said nobody is perfect, and he said, if anything, he's giving himself props. I'm giving, because obviously he's speaking about himself in third person, I'm giving this Derrick Jaxn props for, being honest about his emotions and feelings,
Wow.
confessing everything that he's already done. His wife's already discussed this with him. If she wants to be with him because he's a great guy, that's all up to her.
I'm done. Done
I
as in I have no words. Wow.
That's why
This
I'm
is
furious, because
this
the
is
level of
deeply,
audacity, the level of
yeah.
narcissism, the level of gaslighting, and the level of just manipulation. And that's another thing that
It's
I really wanted to touch
manipulation.
upon. This whole having to manipulate people to get what you want.
Yeah.
This is me now talking to our audience, right? First and
Uh-huh.
foremost, my advice for you is run away from gurus as much as possible. But if you feel that you have to manipulate someone to get what you want, if you feel like you have to really be shady and sneaky to control people and all of these different things, stop it. Really stop. That's the kind of stuff that really, I think that's what really hurt me about this, because first and foremost, you're following, you're basically throwing them under the bus. But your wife, I think that's the person who I'm very upset about. His wife is out here looking wild and crazy, trying to defend him when there's no reason to defend him. And he's allowing her to take the smoke left, right, and center. He's deleted that video of him reacting.
But he didn't say
But
anything about don't put my wife in this. This
nope,
is,
didn't defend her. But the
yeah,
video
that's
had
not
already gone
cool.
viral. So even though he deleted it, everybody, took the video and are sharing it elsewhere. So it's obviously, congratulations, you played yourself. Everybody, the internet, once you put something on, it's there forever.
And of course, people were like waiting on something from
and
him.
every single person who he called out throughout his whole so-called career as a guru has come out. Every guy, obviously, because he's out here throwing guys under the bus for whatever it is that they've done, which is fine. I believe in holding people accountable, but every single person who he has mocked, who he has exposed, has come out basically saying, oh, remember that time when you exposed me? This is your time. We all get out. Like, everybody's putting his hands to the fire. And I'm like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. That's the only thing I can say.
No, this is really a deep, deep fall. This is really, so
he made the news. That's why I was like, why? He's a YouTuber. Why is he on the news?
Yeah. I've seen, but he was on The View before too.
Was he?
Yes, he was. He was.
Oh my God. Do you know what I think as well? I think a lot of the, obviously we've talked about this before, Abba and Preach, right?
Yes,
I know they touched
Abba and Preach. Oh, they were all up on that. they never liked him.
Because you know what's really crazy? I was more familiar with their videos about attacking him more than I was with him, which is hilarious to me, because they've been called haters for how long now? Because they're always getting onto him saying, this guy's a simp, or this guy, there's something, like you said, there's something about this guy that's off.
Yeah.
And they'll say, there's something about this guy's off, he's a liar or whatever. And they didn't have the proof. They were just going by intuition. So obviously people are like, you guys are haters, which is fair, because you can't just start making fun of people and there's no proof to it. So now that all of these things have come out, they are literally putting him to task, which I find it very, very interesting.
So the putting him to task part, I think the person who came out with the exposing was
Tasha
Tasha
K?
K? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with her at all,
I'm familiar with her.
but I have to say, watching her video, and I can't watch all of these videos in
Yeah.
completion because I think I'm an empath,
Okay.
and the feeling that comes across in these videos are really negatively intense for me. So
Oh,
when
from Tasha K?
her and the whole Derrick Jaxn reviewing his own video, I'm like, this is just too much for
It's
me.
the
It's too much
Matrix.
negative feeling for me. So with Tasha K's video, I get that there is a dishonesty with another human
She
being,
doesn't
that
care
you're
about anybody.
leading people wrong and all of that. What really threw me off about her video is
Yeah.
it seemed the pure joy she
Yeah,
got
of someone's
out
misery.
of. Yes, that is, I was like, I
Yeah,
can't, I can't
she's
watch this.
like that with a lot of people, but I don't know if it's because of things she sees behind the scenes or is it because that's her natural personality. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to
It's
figure
it's
out what is it? Is it because I haven't watched her video. I know that she's the one who exposed it, but I haven't
yeah.
watched her video. I've
I
only
saw
watched
the
the video of
clip.
everybody else.
Yeah, I saw it, but I couldn't watch it in full
Yeah,
because of like the pure joy. Because she was talking to the mistress,
mistress.
and like the questions, the way in which she was asking the questions, there was no impartiality to it.
Of course.
I would have thought that
Yeah.
Derrick Jaxn wronged her personally,
Yeah, it seems like that would be the case for someone to have so much I don't know.
investing, but joy. She
Yeah.
literally, like, you could tell the she was getting
The
something
the visceral
delicious.
hate,
Oh my God.
venomous thing.
I couldn't handle that. I could not handle
It's
that.
wild. It's wild because you don't pray for someone's downfall.
Right.
However, this is another
I
thing that
mean,
I
if
wanted to add
someone
to it.
falls, they fall. Because I've been
Yeah,
petty myself with, especially when somebody has done me wrong personally. I still
yeah,
go and do my best to adjust my attitude with God, but it don't always 100% work.
yeah,
But it's not the it's not the fact that she's shown that she was getting the joy out of it. It's the fact that she actually feels that. To me, that's something that requires some type
yeah,
of personal assessment.
yeah,
Um, yeah, because I feel like the problem is deeper than just the situation. Yeah.
yeah. What I wanted to add to this, my final thought
Mm-hmm.
was um, having people who he's got a book and you were saying he was in the View. I heard from other people that I didn't even know he was in the View. I heard from other people how he did motivational speeches and stuff like that and travel around the country, the US, and people were taking advice from him. Apparently people left their spouses because of him. People left their businesses because of him. People left like so many different things and lost out because of him. So there's a whole bunch of like an army of angry fans. They're not even fans anymore. I don't even know what to call them at this point. A bunch of angry people just like we put our lives in your hands. This is what's so wild about it. Like, why would you put your life in anybody's hands? Like, it's insane to me. Like,
All right.
what? This is cult-like behavior. Like, what are
I
you
have
doing?
several things to say about this. I think that any good or bad person can give good or bad advice. So I wouldn't sit here and say that every piece of advice he's given is wrong. It definitely has to do with the hypocritical factor. But I think I've gotten advice, or I've
Derek
taken
Jackson?
advice. I don't know if it was from him, but I'm saying from a source that's not necessarily credible, because I assessed for myself whether
Mm-hmm.
the advice was good to take or not. So
Mm-hmm.
there is definitely an importance on discernment.
Not everybody
You
has
can't,
that.
And that's
It's
not
like common sense.
anybody's
Not everybody
fault.
has that.
That's not anybody's
Exactly.
fault. But
Exactly.
this is why, remember, I went in about the word, um, damn it, what's that word that I hated? The word that they
Oh,
called it.
journey.
No,
Journey.
not journey.
What's the other word?
Because I hate that word too. Um, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting it. What they call these people on the internet.
What,
That
gurus?
Nope, not guru. What's that damn word?
Help, self-help people?
No, but
What do they
people
do?
who these people that people look up to, that
Influencers.
influence. That's why I hate that word, because of the power that word, like it's not only the power, it's what the definition of that word leads you to. Because someone is an influencer, you will more easily let yourself be influenced by, if I hate that word for that reason. No, someone, it doesn't allow you to have your own discernment, not by the sheer definition of that word. So
That's why I hate the word guru, and I hate the phrase self-help. Like all of that.
I
For
think
me,
self-help is the
it's
problem. Self-help, nah,
like I'm telling you,
nah.
I absolutely hate it. And do you know what's really crazy?
You need
This
God
showed
help
me this whole.
too.
I'm telling you, this whole situation revealed to me how vulnerable people are and what desperation allows people to do, in a sense where it's like people are out here looking for answers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right? We all go through life where we're lost, or we're looking for something, we're looking for answers in any era of our lives, right? But the reaction that I saw from all of these women was like, what in the world? Like, why are all of them reacting like this? And you don't understand that, there's different levels to it, man.
Yeah, the
There's different
blind
levels to
trust.
it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, giving your money, because it's like, again, the Inception video that he made. I'm always gonna.
I did not miss the Leonardo DiCaprio reference. That was hilarious, but I was just so into what you were saying. That's so funny. What in the
No, the
Leonardo
Inception.
DiCaprio? Yeah.
No, the Inception video he made, he promoted his book at the end of it,
I
right?
know that much. I know. I was like, I just, Jesus,
So it's like,
Jesus,
think about all the money that these people have
Jesus,
given for the books,
help
for the
him be quiet.
merchandise,
Jesus.
literally for the merchandise, for the tickets, for the, let's say, public speaking events, whatever it is he's doing. They've paid for his home, they've paid for all of these things. So
There's
initially I
a
was like,
price
why
to
are
be
these women
paid for a
crying?
lesson to be learned.
I'm telling you, but it didn't make sense to me at first. I was like, why are they all crying? Why are they all mad? Like, all right, he was giving stupid advice, or fine, he was being hypocritical, but why are they crying? If anything, the truth has been shown and they can leave it. And then I realized there was so much more to it than just him being a hypocrite. It was just giving and giving and giving and building this person up to the height that they, came to, only for them to realize it was a whole lie,
That's why I think it's
And
so
then,
important to be careful with your words, especially as a public person. Also, to not, there's this other guy, Stephen Le Bossier. He's also one of those gurus. And I used to
really,
follow him. I don't as much because, I explained before. But there's
mhm,
one thing I like about what he always says, or he says often, is that
mhm.
don't take my word for it. Pray to God first. He
Amen, amen,
says that
amen,
so often. It is
amen.
important that you use your discernment, and to also pray to God or whoever your higher power is to lead you, because people are out here, we are flawed. There is not one of us who hasn't given bad advice coming from a good place.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I actually see
But
him, and Abba said this, Abba and Preach. He said this. He said that, well, I believe that Derrick Jaxn is in competition, kind of like there is a man he wants to be. And I think that is what he was portraying, a person he wants to be as opposed to who he
who
is.
he really is.
Yes, I think
Image
that's
gang.
what
That's
was,
what I'm saying. It's
huh?
all image. That's what I said.
But
Image
not
gang.
just image. It's more like I want to be like this, so I'm going to, I guess, embody it. And maybe the more I'm like that, I will actually be like that. Meanwhile, not
That's
dealing
interesting.
with the things that's going on in the back end that's stopping you from being like the person you would like to be. You can't just
That's
emulate
interesting.
what you like. Yeah.
I interpreted that as this is the man that these women want. That's how I interpreted it as. Women want a guy like this, and this is who I'm going to portray myself to be, right?
Mm.
Um, which is very interesting because I agree with you with what Aber and Preach were saying, and I feel like it's twofold because it's not just about I this is the man that I want to be to aspire to be. That man needs to be appealing to the people who you're selling yourself to.
Mm.
So for me, how it came across was this is what they want. This is what all the women. So think about it. These women are writing to him, messaging him. Oh, he's giving relationship advice here, there, right? So he's molding himself to the standard that they want based on their ideal man. And he's trying to be that. Like I said to you before, yes, you can be a guru, you can give all these advice. I don't believe that his product was his books or his advice. He was the product.
Yes, I
Otherwise, he
have to
wouldn't
say
write
with him.
as much
Yes.
as that,
Because
for
the other
sure.
guys, I don't see them. He
Like
was on
that.
a he was on a level of, yeah, I like my body, my like the other guys don't
Literally.
do that. They don't do
I'm
that.
telling
Not that I've
you,
seen. And they might be doing stuff behind the scenes, but as far as being appealing to the women, yeah, he had a
he
complex
was
there. Yeah.
seriously. And I remember we was talking about it, like even the women, it's like, oh, he played professional American football, or he's 6'5" or 6'4".
Is
Like
he?
all of this information, I don't know, but all of this information to be out there in the public, who's putting it out there?
He is. Well,
Is it right?
he put
Do you
pictures
see
of
what
his
I'm saying?
body that I have to tell you,
I
that
hate
really
that.
turned me off. And I know a lot of women like that. I'm not really a physical only woman anyway.
Not for me.
Um, but I just, yeah, it was a blatant sell of
Do you
self.
know what
Yeah.
it? Do you know what it was? It was tasteless. I think that's what it was. That it
Yeah.
was so
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 stuff like
corny.
that, I
So
looked at side. I was like, this doesn't feel right. Like there's something off about this. And I stopped. Like
you've been right this whole time, though, Rachel. You're
I was
right.
like,
That's the
thank
spirit of
God,
discernment
because
right
I
there.
listened to my discernment. Exactly. I
I'm
listened.
telling you. But yeah, that's it about Derrick Jackson. I read someone on Instagram. No, it wasn't Instagram. It was Twitter. They said, "I only found out about Derrick Jackson today, and I want to go back to the past where I didn't know anything about him. Like I don't want to know anything about
No,
this guy."
because
I was
it
like, "Oh my
really
god."
exploded. And honestly, I do have a so I understand people are disappointed, people are angry, people are varying levels of upset, and every person has the right to be. I do believe, though, that the internet and people's sensitivities and how people allow themselves to be like unaffected when it comes to the internet, I have a problem with that because at the end of the day, I hate that phrase, so I said it anyway. Um, at the end of the day, I can't stand it, as opposed to the beginning of the day. Anyway, like really, what does at the end of the day mean? Whatever. Um,
It means in
anything.
all totality because it's reached its full
It
end.
doesn't have to be in totality at the end of the day. What if you recognize that, this morning? Anyway, I digress. I do believe that obviously he's a human being. And I
Like we
think
all are.
how he is being attacked and his wife is being attacked speaks a lot about the humanity of others, despite
Hmm.
how upset and angry you feel. These backlashes or people's words can affect people to the point where they take their own lives, affects their
Hmm.
mental health. So I've been having a battle with that. It's like, okay, it's annoying. Some of it is funny, but it's like to like, oh God, like keep in mind these people are people.
I totally understand that. And I agree
So
with his
yeah.
wife specifically. I didn't think that about Derrick Jaxn, and I'll tell you why.
Hmm.
Because for someone to do a reaction video shows how
That
detached they are. That's what I'm trying to say to you. You are not intact with your own emotions. You are so detached from the
yeah.
situation, from your marriage, from the,
And
you know, from
bigging
the public
yourself up.
and from
Yeah.
and bigging yourself up, that and the fact that you've left your wife to be literally attacked by the people, and you're not
Instead
even
of doing a
you
video about her, you do a
you are
video
not
about,
covering her.
yeah.
This is your wife. You're supposed to be covering her, right? You're
Yes, you
supposed to be
are.
protecting her, especially with what
Absolutely.
you've let her
You
go
put
through,
her at,
right?
yes.
That's
Yes.
why I'm saying for his
Yeah.
wife, yeah, people need to be mindful and be
Yeah.
respectful. For him, on the other hand, if you are that detached, I'm looking at you sideways. I'm not saying, oh yeah, people can go at you, but I'm looking at you sideways,
I'm
bro.
definitely
Like,
I'm looking at him upside down, sideways, or whatever, and I'm not
yeah,
feeling bad for him being exposed. I am, however, not appreciating the tastelessness of the
yeah,
reaction of
yeah.
others. It
That's
doesn't
understandable.
only speak about how they feel, it speaks about you as a human being.
Of
That's to
course.
me what it shows.
Mm,
So yes, I I
wild.
don't feel sorry for him like this being in the open. I actually, to a level, for his wife, everything is a choice. Everything
Of
is a
course.
choice. So
Absolutely.
she is wherever she is, but there's
Hmm.
also a level of, okay, it's time for me to bow out with my
You don't think
reactions
it's
and
trauma?
all of,
You don't
with
think for
her.
her it's trauma? Because it's not like, again, he has been cheating on her for years, right? You don't think she's at the
I
point of,
think when you accept bad behavior continuously, and again, this is all a speculation.
mhm,
Um, I think when you accept bad behavior continuously, it's not something that started in that situation. I think
okay,
if she does have trauma, I think it's something from what before him,
okay.
or he helped to mold her because I think they knew each other from really young.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he's the architect
but
behind all
are
of
they
that.
not like the same age?
I don't know if they're the same age, but they definitely are like high school sweethearts, I
Yeah,
think. That's what I've
something like
seen
that.
online.
So it's either
Yeah.
she was molded in her own past for this type of man, or he's done, his level of what he has done to make to elongate or prolong that type of situation. But it's still a choice because every there's a lot of people who have experienced trauma. And while trauma makes you more susceptible to certain behaviors, it does. But there's still a choice to be made. There's
Okay.
always still a choice. And I'm trying to be sensitive, and
Hmm.
I'm not blaming her. I am not. Um,
Mm.
but to a certain extent, just like I'm saying with these individuals, use your discernment, there's a level of God that you can reach where you're not lying to yourself about what you're
Hmm.
seeing, because you're seeing
Hmm.
things,
Hmm.
and you're trusting God and not your pain or your trauma or that person, or and I'm not saying that it's easy. It's just that there's
Hmm.
always a choice. So
Wild.
yeah,
Wild.
that's rough, man. That's rough. It's rough. I didn't know we were going to talk this long about it. I thought this
I
was the fastest thing.
I just had a lot on my chest to talk about
Yeah,
that
yeah,
because it made
me
me
too,
hate the internet. It
apparently.
made hate YouTube. It made me hate everything. I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm done. Screw you
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
I'm not logging on.
yeah.
But anyways, back to in the news today. What I wanted us
Uh-huh.
to talk about is the stop the Asian hate.
Okay.
So for everybody who is listening, there is not just, I don't want to say a hashtag. There was an incident that happened in the US, right?
I've heard, I don't know what the incident was, but I know there have been um
There was a white
violence
guy.
against Asian.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there
that
was a
one.
what?
Okay.
So this is where I first heard of it, and then you
Okay.
can add the
Yeah.
rest to what I've heard and
Hmm.
seen and read.
Hmm.
There was this white guy who basically shot up Asian
Six.
massage parlor,
Yes, and I think it was six Asian women.
6 Asian women. I don't know, did all of them die?
That I'm not aware of.
Because everything has got lost. This is what I hate about social media and I hate everything. Everything
Hmm.
gets lost in the mire of breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, and
Right.
no one really knowing what the situation is.
Right.
So essentially, that blew up. What was the situation were you going to talk to us about? That's the one that I heard about, the white guy who basically shot up the Asian women.
Okay, so prior to that, because of the coronavirus situation, and it has, certain grounds, I believe, in former President Trump's um, description of the virus and how he called it. I think, what did he call it? The China virus or
China,
whatever? Yeah.
China man virus, China
Y-
virus,
Yeah.
Chinese
So
virus,
there had been, and I
or
don't
the
know
Asian
these
flu.
statistics. Yes. I don't know the statistics of this, but Asian violence or occurrences of Asian violence had been on the rise. Um, and from what pieces that I've picked up, again, nothing that I have read concretely, that some of it was from Black people, which I had not known at all about. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely haven't seen it on my end, but it doesn't mean just because I haven't seen it that it didn't
It
exist.
doesn't have, yeah, or it isn't true.
Yeah. So that's where I was, like, that's when I first heard about the Stop Asian Hate. And of course, this incident of, harming or shooting at, let me see, the women of Asian descent were six of the eight victims in the Atlanta shooting. I don't know how many people have died. Um,
And nothing is clear online. If you go there,
says six Asian women among eight killed. So six Asian women were killed. Yeah. So there, of course, now, in addition to breaking news, have been many, many posts. There actually, I saw lots of posts before this killing, this mass killing of Stop Asian Hate. Um, that was definitely picking up traction.
I didn't see that prior to the incident,
Yeah,
the
I
violent
was
incident.
seeing it specifically from this one person that I follow on Instagram, and she's Asian. So I can understand that. Um, And I do not condone any type of violence towards anyone. That is for me where the buck stops when it comes to violence. It's against Asian, against trans, against gay, against, I can disagree or agree. It ain't my business to agree or disagree with how a person is. I feel like that is a statement that just doesn't make sense. I don't agree with how you are. I cannot say those words and those make sense. People are who they are. And that is where my acceptance, like, that's it. I do, however, have a different perception from what I have been hearing, where Asian hates, or more of the popular opinion. I have another opinion. I grew up in the
Okay.
Bronx, and I grew up amongst Hispanics and Cambodians. So Dominicans,
Mm-hmm.
Puerto Ricans, and Cambodians. Cambodians are Asian. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I have specifically experienced Asians hating me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember going to their homes, and I was friends with the kids, but the parents, I always felt like I didn't belong in the home and I felt uncomfortable, specifically because
Mm-hmm.
I was Black in their home.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
also had experiences of going to the beauty supply stores where
Mhm.
I can feel that I was being watched and
Mhm.
like basically not feeling comfortable. And I also felt it was a race thing. There wasn't a level of respect there. And of
Mhm.
course, these are businesses in the Black community,
Mhm.
that are using the Black dollars and bringing it into their own community. So
Yeah.
I've had a long history, this since I was a kid, of being disrespected by the Asians. So it is really tough for me to stand on the side of
Solidarity.
allying. Yeah, it's really
Standing in
hard for me.
solidarity with other
But people
minorities who don't
have shown that
actually
they've
respect.
hated me. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where
Um,
my, yeah, go ahead.
where your stance is.
Yeah.
My point in this is that a lot of the times when we see this call for solidarity, it's not really a call for solidarity with every single group of minorities. It's usually to the Black community alone. So they are segregated and set apart where it's their responsibility to make things happen for other minorities because they are seen as if they are at the forefront of change within their own communities, right?
Right.
So in order for them to be heard, they feel like they need to latch on to whatever it is that Black people are doing.
Right.
And this isn't, whoever's listening to this isn't just an American thing. This is everywhere. You would go and see it's everywhere, wherever Black people are.
Yeah.
So from what I've seen now is online with all the hashtag. Now they're using Stop Asian Hate, but at the beginning it was Asian Lives Matter, and that's where everything started to blow up because I didn't want to comment. I wanted to watch. I wanted to observe.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, I don't trust the news. I don't trust initial news. I have to wait a couple of days for me to really find out
Mm-hmm.
what's really going on, separate the fact from fiction, opinions from what's really happening. So it was the Asian Lives Matter, and that in itself was co-opting Black Lives Matter. And I thought it was interesting that there was no one was batting an eyelid as to what was going on. We can just do whatever we want, post that, and again co-opt and latch on to something that already exists and take it for our
Right.
own in order for us to make a stand and a stance. I don't have a problem with that. It's in the way that it's done. And then when it
Right.
wasn't getting much traction, it was okay, stop Asian hate. And then on top of that, it was we're calling in solidarity all the people of color, but specifically Black people, which I found
Right.
strange because it was like, okay, what do you want us to do? What do you want us to
Right.
do? Because I remember last year with the whole uh, George Floyd situation that was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was posting. And I don't know if you know, what's this guy, Patriot Act? What's this guy? What's the presenter of Patriot
Patriot.
Act? Patriot Acts. This is why.
Is that an actor?
No, Patriot Act is like a news um, commentary show. Hassan, that's it. Hassan
Um,
Minaj. So
oh, okay. Yes, I
absolutely
know who.
adore Hassan Minaj. So he basically was calling out members of the Asian community saying, hey, obviously everything's Black Lives Matter, but we need to get real about our own community and our own home because we all know that when the doors are closed, we are out here insulting Black people. We call them names. We say this, we say, he basically aired all of them out. And I remember posting it on Instagram. And I was saying, for all of our Asian friends who are basically wanting to stand in solidarity with us, you need to do the right thing. It's not just about, oh, Black Lives Matter, but at home, this is how you behave and this is your values. This is how you treat
And this is how we
Black people,
treat us. Like I have been on the receiving end of that.
right?
Yeah.
Which is insane to me. But because it's fashionable right now, this is what you guys are happy to do, but in your own homes you guys treat us like trash. So let me give you guys an example of what's going on in terms of outside of the States, because I know that a lot of the times most people in the States don't know what's going on
Yeah, it's
other
like we
than what's
think it's
happening
only
then.
happening to us. Yeah.
I know, which is always a problem. But when it comes to the Asian community, so I live in the United Arab Emirates, and even though it's an Arabic Muslim country, the highest population or percentage of people who live here are actually Asians, right?
Asians as in
Indians,
what though? Okay, yeah, I was
Indians
gonna
and
ask the breakdown.
Pakistanis and Filipinos, right? They
Okay.
are the majority of people living here. There's only roughly, I don't know, is it 1 to 5% of actual Emiratis, actual Arabs, like who are from the UAE living here? So it's an
Hmm.
expatriate country, right? People come from
Right.
abroad to work here, to live here for a certain period of time, and then they go back home. But because we're close to Asia, the people who come here, and we actually, the country has a great relationship with India and all these other places. Indians are the majority of people who live here, Pakistanis, as well as Filipinos. You get a few number of Chinese who come to work and whatnot, people from Singapore, all of these different other countries, right? But the minorities actually are Black people and Arabs. And the
That's good to
crazy
know.
thing is, yeah, and the crazy thing is, Dubai has a very terrible, what do you call it, working system for people who are coming from impoverished countries who are not coming here uh, for work that isn't labor, right? So
Hmm.
you have labor workers usually getting paid less than minimum wage. They don't have sanitary places where they stay. You know, it's very
Wow.
bad, and they keep them in areas that are very that are considered to be like the terrible area of Dubai, and they
Okay.
push them out over there. So they work
Wow.
there, and then sorry, they live there, and then they come out to the cities and do roadworks, buildings, all of those different things, and then they go back there, treat them very badly, very poorly, or whatever.
Right.
However, even with that being said, my experiences of like negative interactions since I've been here, I've been living here for it's coming up to 4 years now. I've never had a bad incident with an Arab person, which
Mm.
to a lot of people is wild because I think it's, some people would assume that, you know what, how is it living in an Arabic country or Muslim country? I have not had a terrible experience with an Arab man or woman. If anything, my experience with them has been even better than
Mm.
my own expectations.
Mm.
My worst experiences has been with Indians, Pakistanis, Filipinos,
Wow.
or Asians, which is
Okay.
every single Asian, not every single Asian, but
Hmm.
touching upon the different groups,
Right.
right? Um, which, and the crazy thing is, I remember my first bad encounter was when I first moved here, and I was already struggling moving from, the UK, and I went to like an event, and there was this uh family who was just so rude and wouldn't let me go past, and they were literally like bitching about me right in front of my face in their own
Wow.
language and being so disrespectful. And I remember never forgetting that because I was just like, oh my gosh, you guys get treated so badly here,
Mm.
and nobody else is treating you bad. If anything, the people who are treating you bad is the people who own this land, this country, for
Right.
you to build up their economy, right?
Right.
Every other person isn't treating you badly, but you have so much hatred for Black people that even if a Black person is making more money than you, which most Black people here are,
Hmm.
even if they are working great jobs, even if they are showing you kindness, whatever it is, you have so much hate where you still look down on them, even when you economically are below, which is not a thing to set a comparison that, Black people are better or whatever. No, this is
Hmm.
just an example of
Right.
how the system is structured here in the
Right.
UAE, right?
Right.
um so you get people who are so I it's very difficult to say because sometimes I try to find the balance. Is it being uneducated, or is it a situation where it's you are educated enough to know but you just don't care? I
I
don't
think
know.
it's colonialism.
You
I
think
think,
so?
yes, it is so
Because I feel
embedded
like they hate
around the
everybody.
world. It is
I don't
so
think,
embedded around the world that Black people are below. Anything white is okay.
but
Like,
they hate white people too. No, no,
oh,
no. Let me tell
but do
you.
they treat them
Listen,
like that?
listen, listen. You get to. It's terrible. It's
They
terrible.
treat white
It's.
people bad?
Let me tell you a story.
I got
I
to hear
have
this because this I ain't
I have a
seen.
friend. I have a friend who was Portuguese. She's a white Portuguese woman, and she worked for the Emirates airline. Uh, oh my gosh, what's going on with my brain? She Emirates. She works for Emirates,
I was going to say United
and
Emirates.
she works for yeah. So she's an air hostess, works for Emirates, and wherever they went, I remember she said there was a horrible incident she had, and a lot of the incidents she had was always with Asian people. Reason being is they felt some type of way towards her because she was a white person. Not to say it's a racist thing, but to say in a sense where because they've always been under, in their opinion, they use this as an opportunity to
To
place
treat
themselves above
her
because
as
she,
less
yeah,
than.
because she was serving them. In context, it's her job,
Okay.
but they took advantage of that and like, you in this moment, in this
You
isolated
belong
incident,
in this place.
you belong in this place to serve us.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what do? These people are traveling from the Emirates, but they are originally from India. This has happened to many people. This is not just Indians. This is just one incident that I'm just talking about. So
And
they are
these Asians, where specifically are they from? The country? These Asians
no.
that you're talking about?
Yeah, they are specifically from India.
Okay,
They are coming
India.
to Dubai,
Okay.
and then they are taking Emirates flights to the US, right? But one of them has an Indian passport. So they're bringing their family to go to America. Sorry, has an American passport, taking their family to go to America, and then they're going to come back. When she's there serving everybody in the plane, her job is to serve everybody in the plane. They then start clicking their fingers at her. You, miss, her in particular, because I think she was one of the few white girls that was there serving, clicking the fingers at her. You come over here and telling her, it's your job to serve us. It's your job to serve us, and saying, we have an American passport, so you have to serve us. This is not an Indian passport. This is an American passport. Come over here and serve us. Bring us this, bring us this, bring us this. We are not literally talking through their insecurities that we are not less than, we are not this, and all of that stuff, and doing everything in their power to make her feel bad. That's not to say that, that excuses slavery or colonialism or anything like that, but it shows, for me, for a lot of what I've seen as well, or what even my husband has seen, is that white is right, but at the same time there's animosity and resentment towards that white. I want to be like you, but I hate you at the same time.
Yes,
do you know what I mean?
Because of how you've treated me.
Exactly.
And make me feel about myself, actually.
Exactly. The disrespect is still there.
Right.
But at the same time, it's that, that what you talk
they
about
know
all the time,
where to do
self-infliction.
it. They know where to do it. They wouldn't do that any old place. They did that with the steward. I think they would do that, yes, with the stewardess, but they would be less likely to do that with, I don't know, a white tax man. Or maybe it's because she was a woman and not a man.
Come to the UAE, Rachel.
Wow.
You see crazy things. The only people that I see that they will never do it is the people who own this land, which is Arabs. That's it.
Everybody people who treat them bad.
Yeah,
specifically
because they've got the power to get you out of here.
So they know who to do it with. They know who to do it with.
That's what
Whoever
I'm saying.
has
So
the true power,
white, whether you be whatever it is, that's the issue. So let's circle back to what I'm trying to say is, this is not isolated to the States. It's not isolated to Dubai. It's not isolated to the UK. It's not isolated to Asia. It's not isolated. I grew up with Filipinos in not only my schools and everywhere I've been. I've known a Filipino. I've been friends with a Filipino, and they are lovely. And then you meet their parents, you meet people who are older, and they are terrible.
Oh man.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? So
yeah,
again, it's not about not standing in solidarity with the Asian community. It's about putting the Asian community to task, because what is it that you have done for others apart from you? How is it's our responsibility to fix things in your community when you will never do the same for us?
Yeah. How you expecting help from people you look down on?
And why is it our responsibility? Why is it that we're not calling on the Mexicans? Why is it that we're not calling on, other Asians, Chinese, whoever? Why is it that it's become our problem? And the thing is, I don't want to say problem, because I do believe in sharing the load and burden with people. Yeah. But I think when it's not reciprocated, and it's used more as bargaining chip,
Mm-hmm.
and used as what do you call it, propaganda,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these different things in order to get what you want. We know as soon as they do get what they want, or you do, ties change, bam, no one cares anymore.
Yeah.
There's no more that solidarity. It's almost like I'm putting my hand out for you to pull me up, but I'm going to pull you down so that I can get up and you regress and I
Yeah.
move forward and forget nothing ever
Right.
happened between us,
Right.
right? And that
Yes.
sounds harsh for everybody who's listening. That sounds very, very harsh.
I've been on the
That's not,
receiving end. I'm
but I think
And
it's
there's been
about
no
truth.
reconciliation. Actually, I can't say there's no, but there's been very little reconciliation or recognition about that issue in the community. So the more that you're leaning on Black people for help, and the less that you're recognizing that, we have experienced hate coming from your end, and you're Black people have, like, I have that memory. So it's, and many of us have. So it's not something
Yeah.
that's forgotten.
It's not
Um
isolated. That's the one thing I would
yeah,
say.
so
It's not one incident.
it's not, and that's why I'm looking, like, for me, the solidarity, I can't do it. I
Can I ask
cannot
you
do it.
though, why? Why is there a call though? Why is it that they believe that black people need to do something?
I
What are
think
your
it's
thoughts on
it's
that?
exactly what you said, that it because Black people have been at the forefront, especially American Black people have been at the forefront of civil rights movement and making change happen, even though it hasn't been a worldwide or maybe cultural wide acceptance overall of
Mhm.
how everybody benefits, but people have watched it peripherally benefit them even though they're not Black. They know what the truth is, so it's being used as a, like, propaganda. You're latching on to
Mhm.
um the people that you feel like will make the change and help you in the action or organize things for you. It's with an agenda.
Also, I feel like it's avoiding the fire. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because if we get you at the what do you call it? If we get you at the front, at the forefront of this fight, of this battle, you get all the fire thrown at you. Once you move out of the way, we come in, we swoop in, and we take whatever it is that we can get. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? I
I
think a lot
guess.
of the time, I think a lot of the times people are not willing to fight, truly, really to fight for what they believe in,
Right.
or willing to fight for what they think is theirs. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to talk about the Asian stereotype for a minute.
I do have
I
to
wanted
say
to,
though, I wanted to say though, over
yeah,
here, as far as I'm seeing it, Stop the
hmm,
Asian Hate has mostly to do with Chinese, or
yeah,
mostly with Chinese, but the Koreans and other things like that. But I noticed you said Indians too, and I know they're
yeah.
technically Asians, but I haven't
Hmm.
seen anything on their end as far as joining Fight the Asian Hate or anything. But
Yeah, I
technically they're
lump them.
Asian.
Yeah, I lump them together with the Filipinos because Filipinos are also Asian, Oriental kind, but not Asian for well,
I know what you're
Indians.
saying. I know what you're saying.
Um, but I wanted to. The reason why I wanted to talk about the Asian stereotype is because, to link in with what I said before about not taking the fire, is I was, I don't know if you listen to Lovely Tea. Do you listen to Lovely Tea?
I know. I don't think so.
She's talking about how in the States, because I can only talk, I can talk about my experience, but you can interject here because you're the one living in the States, right?
Mm-hmm.
About how Asians are considered to be the model minority. I wanted to know if you
Mm-hmm.
can be able to touch up on that, about being the model minority and being propped up by white people as they are the standard and this is what other minorities should aspire to be like,
Mm.
right? So that
Mm.
means not causing any trouble. That means no uprising. That means keeping your mouth shut, working hard, and basically just being a citizen who can be able to who can be able to benefit the society that they're in this case, the US, right?
Mm.
You need to be a paying member of society, study hard, work hard, create your business. And those who do achieve that are then prompted up for being model a model minority, right? Whether they've gone to Harvard, Stanford, whether they've gone to Yale, whether they own a corner shop, whatever it is that they do, they are really paying towards society as opposed to an African American or as opposed to a Mexican or someone else, right? So the reason why I'm talking about not being at the forefront to take the fire, it means that kind of stereotype still needs to be maintained, right?
Mm. So if they
Even
don't do
though
the heavy lifting in the fight, they still look like the model minority.
exactly,
Whoa,
right?
that's deep.
So if I get my what do you call it? My people
Black
of color who can
people,
stand
yeah.
in solidarity with me,
Mm-hmm. They can do
they
the angry
heavy
fighting.
lifting, angry fighting, protesting, leading,
Mm.
putting up signs, doing all of that stuff. And then as soon all of that dies down, we swoop in, we get what it is that we want, we maintain our image, we maintain all of this. This is my theory, right?
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
That's some deep
um,
ish.
but that's how I see it, because if this
Interesting.
is the stereotype that is being maintained, and it's not like I'm not saying this is with a general statement, because I don't know if there's anybody who's trying to break down these barriers and break down these stereotypes to
I
say,
do
no, that's
believe
not
there
true.
are. I have seen it.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, which is great.
But it's not the majority. That's not from what I've
Yeah.
seen. But yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that I've seen. Again, just because I haven't seen it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've seen, is not the majority where people are actually speaking up against stereotypes and
Right.
saying, this is not who we are. Stop putting this pressure on us. Stop putting
Right.
this burden on us. This is not how we want to be represented.
Because
But
it
it's almost like
benefits them to a
to a
high
certain
extent.
degree.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
So as much as you can complain about it here and there, when it serves you, it's okay. But when it doesn't serve you, you complain a little bit, but not loud enough to be heard.
Right.
But still there's
and then you run
rumblings
to
of
go
it.
to your, I say big
Right.
sister or big brother. They'll take care of the bullies. You'll get the benefits, but it was never you who started it. Nobody knows it was you. I get it.
But behind
That's
closed doors, you're saying you need to work hard, big brother, big sister who is Black. You need to do better. You need to do
You
this.
could be
If I
like
can get to
us.
this, you can be like us. And if anything, that's just reiterating what's being said already public. So do you know what I'm trying to say?
I do think this all has to do with colonialism, though, honestly.
Obviously, it goes back to that. But do you understand what I'm saying? That idea of pushing people at the front and then swooping in, getting what you need, and then being like, deuces, I'm out.
I do see what you're saying. That was a great assessment. I would go as far to say that every single immigrant that has come here has been to the US, I'm saying specifically, has put Black people, Black Americans in this position. And I'm going to go as far to say as even Caribbean people have done that. Yes, because there is an entire, I don't know what this is called, trope perception that it's the African Americans that are the worst, because when you come here as an immigrant, it is like Black people are lazy, but you're separating yourself from the Black people who are here as opposed to me coming from another country. I heard this whole Facebook situation, and I've also seen
what Facebook situation?
Like Dominicans. There was like this whole argument about if as an immigrant you can come to the US and make something of yourself, why can't African Americans do that?
Shut up, really?
Yes. And this is coming from people who are Dominicans, like Dominicans who don't believe that they're Black. A lot of them, I wouldn't say all of them.
That is wild to me, and that's another story for another day. That is wild.
Also, I've heard it from my own grandparents talking about African Americans being lazy. Yes. Yes,
Really?
there is and I this is colonialism because it is the best when people are against each other. The minorities are against each other and
Divide and
everybody is
conquer.
trying to exactly. So as long as one person thinks they're better than the other people, that is surely a distraction from what's actually happening. Yes,
What?
Asians do it. Russians who've come over here have done.
How do they get
Italians have
treated by
done it.
everybody else? So when the immigrants come to America, how do the whites treat them for them to feel like they're
I
better than
wouldn't
African
say
Americans?
so. There is no there. This all of this is subtle and smartly done. So you'll
Okay.
see images on TV, or you'll see like when there's when you're doing things like blackface or you make certain jokes on TV about black people or you make certain jokes about a dad or those are the types of perceptions or that become spread that
Do you think it's
give you an
indoctrination?
idea. Yes, it's indoctrination that's so subtle. So by the time you come over to the US, there is not a specific white person who's saying, oh, these black people are worse than you. There isn't that. But there is the sense of, okay, as an immigrant. So my grandparents came in, my grandmother worked in domestic households, like she was
Mm,
a maid slash housekeeper slash all of
hmm.
those types of things, babysitter. And my grandfather, he worked in a nursing home and he eventually I think
Hmm.
became a dietitian. So the whole view is, if these jobs are there and I can do it, how come you don't do it? But the
Hmm.
black people who are already in the US understand that there you can do a whole lot, and it still won't get you anywhere. It's not that you won't do a job, but there's going to be limitations, to that
Hmm.
job. But as an immigrant, you're coming over and you're going to take everything that you can get because you're coming
Hmm.
from another country. It'll take you
Yeah.
maybe 40, 50 years to realize, oh, there was no upward mobility. Or maybe you're not looking for upward mobility, you're
You just want to
looking for
make money and send
survival.
money back home.
Exactly. So the people who are in a land already understand the workings of a land. If you're coming from
Hmm.
a land that's less
Hmm.
prosperous,
Developed. Yeah.
yes, and you're coming over, you're like, this is the creme a la creme, not realize
Hmm.
if you try to break a certain ceiling, you gonna hit that glass.
Mm.
But as an immigrant, it takes you longer to see that shit. But I
That's
mean,
wild.
growing up here, and thank
Hmm.
God taking African American history in college, because they don't give that
Hmm.
joint in any grade lower.
Are you
I'm dead
serious?
ass. There was no
Hold
black
on,
history.
hold on. Start again. Hold on.
Yep.
You're telling me African American history is not taught in elementary school or primary
I
school when you
wasn't
start
taught
to
it
learn it,
except
secondary
for Black
school?
History Month, and they do all of the Black History Month stuff, not real true history of what Black people have gone through, what it means to be a Black person in America. No, it's not taught in school because that would not, people would be so different in the US if that
That
was taught in schools.
insane.
This
I
will be
learned
a different
about
US
I
if
learned
they
about
did that.
African American history and the civil rights and everything when I was in secondary school. And I think around I was
Yeah,
like 13,
it's not that they don't teach you that. They teach you. Like you will talk about it, but not in the depth that is
that it
required to
deserves. Yeah.
understand that, oh,
Its impact,
Americans are
right?
the impacts. It's only looked at as a piece of history, not, oh, your
Really?
ancestors were slaves. How do you fall in this history?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is insane to me. We had a teacher who was so passionate about this and he made us watch movies. He made us literally review sources. This is us in the UK, guys. This is little Grace, 13, 14 years old. And we did as much as we could, as like he gave us everything. And this is a white guy. This wasn't even
That's
a black
dope.
teacher. This was a white guy saying, he made us watch so many movies where there was like all these white kids crying in the classroom, which
Was
was
that was that popularly done in the UK, or was he
popularly
like
done.
a one off?
No, it's not a one-off. I think you get to choose. You get to choose what you want to do, African American history, or you choose any type of history. I've always studied history in school. So as I got older, because I was in it for such a long time, I then had a choice to pick. In a lot of schools, you get to choose. So it's just the child's choice. They don't force it on you. You want to study African American history? And most black kids did. If it was a choice, yeah, you know.
No, ma'am.
But do you know what's really
No,
crazy?
ma'am.
But this is the thing, they don't teach, you're not going to learn African history in the UK, because most Africans who have moved to the UK, your family's responsible for that. They're not going to teach you about colonialism. Do you know what I mean? They'll rather teach you, and I think that's the problem that
Oh,
UK
did they
has. It
teach you about
separates
American
themselves.
history?
Yeah, they
Yes,
do that a
because
lot.
they're not. That's when Americans get overly involved in, they're overly with the
Yeah,
Nazis and I'm like, y'all
yeah,
are so focused and
they do.
care about that, but you won't look
Yeah,
into Black history
yeah.
because this is
I'm
your
telling you,
backyard. So they
exactly.
famously look in other people's backyards.
I'm telling you, it's
How
so
interesting is that?
disconnected. It's
It
wild.
makes
It's so
sense
disconnected as
though.
well. But it's with everything, though. Like you said, it's not just about African American history or colonialism. It's also Nazi Germany. They will talk about that. They will
Oh
talk
my
about the French
God, they will go
Revolution.
in depth.
I know, I feel like I know everything there is to know about Hitler. To ask any kid in the UK, they will tell
Yes.
you everything about, first and foremost, Hitler. They'll tell you everything about the Soviet Union. They'll tell you
Everything.
everything about the French Revolution. They will tell you everything. And then the only thing that will tell you about UK, British history, is kings and queens. So you learn all from the beginning. Every single
Yes.
king and
Yes, this
queen
makes
that reigned,
sense.
because it's to be able to build up the empire that once was, that's fell, that doesn't no longer exist, right? So it's to be able to perpetuate that power still. So
I was
yeah,
18 years old when I learned that Haiti was the first Black republic, and my
really,
ex-boyfriend is the one who told me. I
that's
never ever
wild.
knew that before
That
that.
is right.
Yo,
That
and
is
that's
wild.
a big deal.
If
How
they're
are you?
teaching French history, that should be intertwined with French history. If you're teaching the French
And I
Revolution and
learned French
everything,
history. No,
that should be literally intertwined, which is
no,
what, this is what I'm trying to say.
no,
Like, it's
ma'am.
absolutely crazy. I was asking my husband if that's the case, and they don't even teach uh British history there as well. So each European nation kind of props up their own history and then looks at the other
At the
person's backyard
bad,
as,
at their
yeah,
bad history.
at their bad behavior.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
so
that's
it's completely, because
so
I was
wow.
I was asking him, I was like, hey, do you know anything about British history? He was like, no, never taught us anything about that. I was like, are you kidding me? French history? No, literally. Soviet
Wow.
Union, obviously, he would know something like that. Nazi
Hmm.
Germany, he would know something like that, because that's the
Everybody
shame on
knows
you.
Nazi dirt. Yeah,
So the
everybody knows
Germans, they're literally
Nazi
like,
dirt,
leave us
except
alone.
probably Italy. I bet you Italy doesn't know a lot about it because they aided. They were with Hitler, so they probably
Yeah,
talk
with
a lot about
Mussolini.
UK.
They all talk about each other. Like, nobody talks
My
about Mussolini. And do you know what's so crazy? Even
God.
Mussolini going into Ethiopia, right? You're
Uh-huh.
not really going to talk about that either, about how the Italians literally came to colonize like Eastern Africa, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and all that. You can still see the remnants of Italy in those places where they still
Oh
sell gelatos.
yeah.
They still have all of these Italians like memorabilia and stuff.
But
Like, it's
also
wild.
how that part of the world looks.
Yeah, they are very mixed.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
incredibly mixed. They got around.
So yeah, so it's insane that it's just looking back now where you're like, oh, we didn't get to learn that. And I'm like, yeah, we learned all of that and its impact, and we watch videos and all of that stuff. But the true agenda under that is, hey, Americans are terrible. You need to really look
Right,
at how terrible they are,
right.
and vice versa, where they're
And
like,
let's
oh,
get the
the
pressure
Germans are
off of
terrible.
us because we started chattel slavery.
Yeah,
It started there,
absolutely.
Jesus.
Literally. So it's insane to me. But
I feel
um
like we need to talk about the third topic another time, because
mhm,
we have gone on, and I didn't know that these topics were going to take so much, but which makes sense. They are in the news and they are
yes.
impactful for us, to a
Yeah.
certain extent. So
Yeah.
yeah, difficult
Absolutely.
conversations we're gonna have to save to next
Difficult
week.
conversation was a difficult conversation to have.
Yeah, but this was all very good. I don't know
Fab.
how long this recording was. If y'all have
One
made
hour and
it
a half.
this wow, if y'all have made it this long, God bless you. Thank you for following us and listening. And please do comment, interact. We would love that. And I'll let you know where you can find us. We are on Instagram at the soul what is it, the soul
So
speak
speak
podcast
podcast.
on Instagram. You can also find out, and you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify, baby, and Anchor. I don't know if people listen to
Yes.
Anchor, but Anchor. Also, you can find me at the Sassy Rachel on Instagram. Yo, I am not a Twitter person. I just recently
Mhm,
got on for the company that I work with.
mhm.
Twitter is brutal. Like
Twitter has takes no prisoner, and every day I say the
yo,
internet is undefeated,
I
it's because of
cannot.
Twitter.
I can't mess with Twitter. But anyway, going to you to you, Grace.
You can find me guys on Twitter. We're not being brutal, I promise. My Twitter handle is at Grace_Kugrana, and you can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at the_reading_hideout. I write Kidlit, so you can find my stuff over there. Please check it out.
All right. It was wonderful talking. We have been talking for a while. Please, guys, let us know how you feel. Interact. Try to be as respectful as possible, please.
No
Please,
hate comments, please.
Jesus.
Have mercy.
And have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.